You've spent millions of dollars in campaign funds on private jet travel over the years.
When's the last time you saw Donald Trump during a campaign mode at National Airport?
No. It doesn't. But he's also not fighting the oligarchy.
No.
Republicans have a lot of running room. And one of the reasons they have a lot of running room is because the Democrats continue to be insane. I don't just mean they're insane in terms of their policy preferences, although many of those policy preferences are quite crazy. I mean, culturally speaking, the Democrats seem determined to do ridiculous things. People on the left in big cities continue to push ridiculous policies, imagery that is going to make them more unpopular, which gives Republicans a lot of running room. The latest sort of bizarre example, but it's symptomatic of a broader imagistic crisis inside the Democratic Party, comes courtesy of Times Square. So there is a brand new statue in Times Square. It's 12 feet tall. It is titled Grounded in the Stars by an artist named Thomas J. Price. What is this 12-foot tall statue that is grounded in the stars? Well, it appears to be a slightly to moderately overweight black woman wearing jeans that are too tight for her, a T-shirt that she got at Walmart, and staring angrily at the cashier at CVS. That's what it is. There's nothing about this that is aspirational. There's nothing about this that is inspiring. This person is completely anonymous. We have no idea what makes her a hero or heroine. Apparently, just being kind of grumpy in front of a TSA agent is enough to make you one of the heroes of American society. The statue was meant to be a stark contrast to two other statues in Duffy Square of Father Francis Duffy and George M. Cohan. George M. Cohan's statue, of course, is a tribute to the founder of the Great White Way, Broadway, George M. Cohan. And Father Duffy was a Canadian-American soldier, a Catholic priest, and a military chaplain who served in the 69th Infantry Regiment. And he served on the Western Front in France during World War I. So Duffy Square is named for him. So these are actual, kind of heroic and world-changing figures. And this is meant to be a contrast because this person is just a person who might need a dose of Ozempic and apparently is kind of frumpy and mad and uninspiring. According to the website for this particular work, the work was created with the idea of disrupting traditional ideas. Always, when the left is constantly attempting to disrupt traditional idea, maybe the traditional idea is good. Like you should have to do something heroic for us to build you a statue. It shouldn't just be a random black lady. Although I do understand that for the left, the basic idea is that every hero of the past is actually a villain, and the only person who you could put up a statue to is a person who's completely anonymous, has no background, no bad social media posts, and never did anything. Those are the people to whom we should build statues. There's nothing from the statue that makes this person in any way important to anyone else. And yet, I guess this sort of self-centered statue is supposed to represent the future of America and the future of Western civilization. Again, the work was created with the idea of disrupting traditional ideas of what a triumphant figure and challenges should be defined as. According to the website, Price's work offers viewers a unique opportunity to experience Times Square in a new light and share in a moment of personal reflection and empathy amidst the hyperactivity of the district. That's ridiculous. The whole thing is ridiculous. If you just want to see random people standing around in Times Square, you could do that with random actual humans. You don't need a 12-foot statue in order to accomplish this. It's silly. But that silliness has an underlying depressing message to it, which is there is no such thing as heroism. There is no such thing as iconic status that can be achieved by accomplishment. Basically, the only thing worth worshiping is a bizarre narcissism of do-nothingism. So if that's the sort of stuff the left wants to embrace, the right has a lot of running room. They really do. Starting a business is exciting. The expense, the chaos that comes with it, well, not so much. When I launched the Daily Wire, we became very familiar with compiling a sea of receipts, trying to track employee and freelancer expenses, counting hours, reconciling statements. It was all a nightmare until we got it figured out. I mean, it would be great if there was a shortcut. Well, there is. That's why I want to introduce you to Ramp. Ramp is a free corporate card that automates your entire tedious and time-consuming expense process. Most finance teams are trapped, spending about 80% of their time on tactical busy work, like chasing expenses and reconciling statements, with only 20% left for strategic thinking. Ramp flips this equation entirely. Their corporate card automates operations, freeing you and your finance team to focus on those strategies that truly drive growth: forecasting, strategic planning, high-value decision-making. Again, you want to plan for the future of your business? But you don't really need to spend time on HR if you don't have to. It's no wonder over 25,000 businesses trust Ramp, including Shopify and the Boys and Girls Club of America. That's why they were just named #1 in spend management by G2. And switching to Ramp is super easy. For new members, Ramp offers a complimentary white glove onboarding service to help you migrate from your current corporate card to start using Ramp. And now, for a limited time, listeners of this show can get $250 when you join Ramp. Just head on over to ramp.com/Shapiro. That's ramp.com/Shapiro, ramp.com/Shapiro. Cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC. Terms and conditions apply. Meanwhile, Bernie Sanders is out there with his own form of narcissism. So Bernie Sanders has been jetting around the country with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, doing these big rallies on behalf of socialism. Well, Bernie appeared on Fox News with Bret Baier, and Bret Baier asked him, we noticed that you spent like over $200,000 on private jet flights. And Bernie is unapologetic in his socialism. He's a good Soviet. He's a good Soviet commissar who has a dacha out in the woods somewhere while everybody else is crammed 8 to an apartment.
You've gotten criticized from other people. Free Beacon says Bernie Sanders spent $221,000 on private jets fighting the oligarchy tour, paid for by friends of Bernie Sanders. That you've spent millions of dollars in campaign funds on private jet travel over the years. How do you push back on both of those things?
When's the last time you saw Donald Trump during a campaign mode at National Airport?
No, it doesn't. But he's also not fighting the oligarchy.
No. You run a campaign and you do 3 or 4 or 5 rallies in a week. The only way you can get around to talk to 30,000 people. Think I'm going to be sitting on a waiting line at United, waiting, 30,000 people are waiting? That's the only way you can get around. No apologies for that. That's what campaign travel is about. We've done it in the past. We're going to do it in the future.
So that would be yes on the private travel. You think he's going to wait in line with you peons at the United counter? You think he's really going to do that? Now, as somebody who travels a lot, especially in the past few weeks, I've taken an awful lot of commercial airliner travel, like a lot of it. I'm very tired because of it. But you know what Bernie could do? These rallies don't all have to be on the same day. He could actually schedule them out where he doesn't have to take private flights. But again, the rules don't apply to the elite socialists. They only apply to everybody else. Again, this sort of stuff is why the normie American turned toward the Trump administration. Another reason the normie Americans turned toward the Trump administration was given, again, pictorial status by what happened at Columbia yesterday. So yesterday, over at Columbia University, the students decided that they were going to take over the library again. And the administration really didn't do much about it. According to the New York Times, dozens of pro-Palestinian demonstrators, they're pro-Hamasniks, were taken into police custody on Wednesday evening after occupying part of the main library on Columbia University's campus in an attempt to rekindle the protest movement that swept the campus last spring. The protesters were wearing masks and keffiyehs. They burst through the security gate shortly after 3 p.m. They hung banners in the soaring main room of Butler Library's second floor. They renamed the space the Basel al-Araj Popular University. So who exactly was Basel al-Araj? Well, back in 2017, he was killed by the IDF. The IDF said at the time that he had been organizing terror attacks against Israelis. He was part of a terror cell, allegedly, planning to carry out attacks on Israeli targets. Inside his home, troops uncovered an M16 rifle, an improvised Carlo-style submachine gun. And not only that, the Palestinian Authority had arrested him for planning attacks against Israelis, and they imprisoned him for 6 months. So again, they picked not the world's best martyrs for their examples. Here is some of the video from the protesters taking over the library. You can see they took over the entire library. They're occupying the entire central component of the library. They then started tussling with security. Again, all this is a violation of law. It is trespass. And if you decide that you're going to confront officers and try to harm them, it's assault as well. Here's some of the footage. You can see they're trying to push their way through the police, trying to push their way through security, all masked, wearing the keffiyehs over their faces like terrorists. Just delightful people. This is at Columbia University, one of the most prestigious universities in America. A university that is under fire from the Trump administration, rightly so, for its violation of the Civil Rights Act. They wrote slogans like "Columbia will burn for the martyrs" and "Free Palestine" all over library walls and shelves. So they committed all sorts of acts of vandalism as well. Here are some of the protesters vandalizing the library shelves. So just spray painting, nobody in sight. Where's security? No one knows. Okay, so eventually, some of these people were arrested. And then the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, put out a statement saying we're reviewing the visa status of the trespassers and vandals who took over Columbia University's library. Pro-Hamas thugs are no longer welcome in our great nation. And what he means by that is if you came here on a student visa to support Hamas, you shouldn't be here, which seems pretty intuitively correct. The reason I bring all of this up before we get to trade policy is because the Trump administration, as I've been saying over and over and over since the inauguration, has enormous amounts of work to do. Everything from DEI to the trans issue, everything from deregulation to building up our military defense. And the biggest thing that they have to do is make sure the economy keeps humming, because Democrats have provided them with the unique opportunity in my lifetime for Republicans to actually do things. Because guess what Americans don't like? They don't like images of keffiyeh-swathed terror supporters vandalizing some of the most prestigious American universities. They don't like Bernie Sanders jabbering about how he gets to take a private jet while you're stuck in the third row at Southwest. Americans don't like dumb statues in the middle of Times Square. They're sort of degrading to the human spirit. They don't like this sort of stuff. So Republicans have a unique opportunity. And what that means is you can't blow it based on bad economic policy. Well, that's all for now, folks. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts down below. Be sure to check out all of the other great content on my channel. I'll see you here next time.